Shalom Akim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Kakadash Barakatam. Dub honors and salutations to the elders and apostles, Grim Stone Road Well, to the Akim Akwat, try the four corners of the earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth, to the gospel Lord of Mashak Yahweh Shai these days and times, Bram Nasha DC Camp, end times, lessons, prophecies for the hopeful elect. Yeah, so there's a situation over there in the Gulf country of Bahrain, and reports say that the king has, has dipped over to Saudi Arabia after all that pressure has been building up for decades. You know, this monarchs over there, man. You know, they've all been propped up by the United States and Britain, and yeah, the population, man, you know, is not having it anymore since they've been protesting for democracy, so-called democracy, for for decades, man, and they've been getting put down by the so-called monarchs over there, and you know, the protests have kicked in as usual, because over a decade ago, you know, they had to get support from UAE and Saudi Arabia to control the protesters, you know, to shut them down from gaining any more momentum, you know, and when they talk about this Sunni Shia divide and exploitation over there, that stuff is no joke. So, you know, the activists, they understand what's going on, they understand the agenda of divide and conquer, and you're beginning to see that, you know, the Lord have to force the will of the people against the monarchs over there, man. You know, it's gonna become a snowball effect. Yeah, so it's going to be horrible. You know, let's just be honest about it. You know, because those what do you call it? Those populations over there, man, they're tired of all the slaughter of the Palestinians. You know, they're also upset about the invasion of Lebanon. So when they protest, you know, stuff like that, you know, it gets under their nerves. So I just played a video real quick, man. It's from the channel Middle
Take a look at these images of unrest in Bahrain. Protesters are chanting, "Down with the king, may God curse you, Hamad, and we will never be humiliated." Police respond by firing tear gas and making mass arrests. These images aren't from the Arab Spring protest in 2011. They're from the last few weeks. Today, we want to explore how protests in Bahrain are a byproduct of the war on Iran and what they mean. But before that, some context. Iran, in its retaliation against the US and Israel's war, has struck every single country in the Gulf. Bahrain is the only country where those attacks have sparked small but significant anti-government protests. Why is that? A large proportion of Bahrainis are Shia. Some ethnic groups in Bahrain were among the earliest adopters of Shia Islam dating back to the 7th century. Shia communities have long complained of discrimination in the country. Bahrain's ruling Al Khalifa family, who are Sunni, have ruled the island since 1783. The Al Khalifas have historically been supported by the West, first Britain and then the US. Bahrain is home to the US Navy's 5th Fleet, where 9,000 American troops are based. The presence of US troops has been a point of contention among Bahrainis for decades.
Yeah, so that's one thing. You know, when you have an empire such as the Empire of Esau, the so-called Greco-Roman Empire, you know, that's something they have to address. The humiliation of having foreign boots on your domestic soil. It doesn't sit well with them. They try to be easygoing, but after a while, they don't see the benefits of having United States military over there. And when you have the Navy fleet, the fifth, or whatever they want to call it, over there, the Navy's what do you call it, Fifth Fleet. Yeah, it doesn't bring any peace and stability, to their livelihood because they're under a so-called dictatorship and they're not benefiting, despite all the struggles, and all they get is just manipulation, from the powers that be over there, playing the sectarian lines to hold the people down, playing favoritism, using the Sunnis as the overlords over the Shia population, granting them citizenship and all these employment opportunities over the Shia population, their own so-called Arab nation, so-called Arab countrymen. So it just shows you that, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. And, the nationality of those Bahrainis is not really Persian. It's mostly Ishmael and Midianites. All right, and then Iran is Elam, so you can imagine, someone of a different nationality, a different race, has sway over your population due to their belief. So now it's getting chaotic over there, So Second Ezra chapter 9 verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. All right. So, yeah, that's the Valley of Josaphat right there, man. That's a region, the Gulf region. It's a Gulf region of Arabia. It's a hotbed, man, for conflict. And then you also watch the news. Those Amazon web services sites have been getting hit. The oil refinery in Bahrain also got hit. So it's gonna be a mess for those investors over there, man. The instability is just going to further drive a wedge between the so-called ruling class and the people at the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna see more chaos. Folks that don't want nothing to do with the West anymore, they're tired of the so-called Israelis tearing up Lebanon and hijacking the Palestinian, you know, so-called lives, man. Just slaughtering. And they understand now, with more information online, when it comes to this Greater Israel project, that they want to expand their borders all the way north, south, east, and west as far as they can go without stopping. So that's just what it is, man. Now they have to push back because the Bahraini government has been a proxy for Amalek, has been a proxy for Edom. And you won't be surprised, man, that they basically are Amalekites, man, manipulating the people. So I'll play the clip some more.
Now, as Iran targets US bases across the region, that relationship has come into the spotlight once again. To find out why, I'm joined by Mariam Al-Khawaja, a Bahraini activist who played a key role in the pro-democracy protests in Bahrain in 2011 and advocates for political reform. Mariam, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, I want to start off by asking...
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I want to start off by asking you, why has there been unrest in Bahrain over the past few days, and would people have taken to the streets if not for the war on Iran?
I mean, look, to understand what's happening in Bahrain, you also have to understand, as you mentioned, the historical context, right? I mean, the protests against the presence of foreign military bases is something that has been ongoing for decades in Bahrain. And it's the US base, it's the UK base, etc. And the decisions, the political decisions that are made by the ruling family in Bahrain, which by a lot of indigenous people inside the country are considered occupiers, but given that they took over Bahrain by force, have been ruling by force since then. These political decisions don't reflect the will of the people of Bahrain. And so there has been an ongoing tension between the population in Bahrain and between the ruling family. And I think a good example of that is that the very short-lived parliament that we had in the 1970s after the British withdrew. I mean, Bahrain stopped being a protectorate, but the British never really fully withdrew. Was that, this parliament, after being in session for 2 years, decided that they did not want to renew the lease for the U.S. military base. And as such, the emir at the time, this king's father, declared a state of national emergency for the next 25 years. And one of the main reasons was because they didn't want to renew the lease for the U.S. military base. And so when you take that into context, and the fact that the Bahrainis have been protesting against this for a very long time, have been protesting against the Al-Khalifas for a very long time, for the oppression, for the crackdown, for the violence, the lack of any basic and fundamental human rights, I think it only makes sense that we continue to see the protests that we're seeing now.
And to bring in...
Yeah, so that's the mess, man. Scriptures tells you about, oppression. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and gift destroyed the heart. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7, all right? So the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, chapter 15, all right? Let's see, this is... well, you know what? 2nd Ezra chapter 15 is a good... yeah. Some of verse 1. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in their mouth, said the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. So that's just what it is, man. The Uproars of the people is a necessary event that has to be exercised, upon the face of the earth, throughout the four corners of the earth. That division has to be manifested. All right, you're gonna see the uproars of the people gaining more momentum. Since they have no king's protest over here, they'll be having their own no king's protest over there in the Middle East. All right. So 2nd Ezra chapter 12. Verse 5, this is what our forefather Ezra had to do. It said, Lo, yet am I weary in my mind, and very weak in my spirit, and little strength is there in me, for the great fear wherewith I was afflicted this night. So saw visions, of the fall of the Western Empire, the events leading to it. Then verse 6 says, Therefore will I now beseech the highest, that he will comfort me unto the end. Yeah, so that's the reason why we need favor from the Lord Amashak Yahushai, so that we can contain our emotions in these last days, man, to break down, have a nervous breakdown in the midst of a calamity, it doesn't really help. Your faith has to be on a steady ground, on a stable foundation. That is the Lord of Mashiach Yahushai. All right, so it's gonna be a bumpy ride, man. You gotta pray that the Lord strengthens the little strength that you have. Add more strength to your strength. So that you do not drop the ball, man, in these last days, during the times of Jacob's trouble. All right, during the darkest hour, the hours of temptation. All right, so the book of Revelation also addresses that too. Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. Let me see. Yeah, Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. It says, I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. So that's what we're praying for, man. That the Lord gives us the courage to deal with all these upheavals around the world, man. The violence, the pestilences, the famine, the craziness of people just moving without purpose. All right, so it's gonna be a sight to behold in these last days. So the book of Jeremiah chapter 50 verse 9, lets you know that the Lord has to shake things up. So it says in verse 9, Jeremiah 50 and 9, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. Yeah, so that's gonna be Russia, man. The ambassador sent up from among the heathen. So it's gonna get hot. It's gonna get hot. And then it says, from thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. All right. So when Russia and China and Iran, join forces to come against America, it's a done deal. And then you throw in North Korea, yeah, and the other Arab nations in there, man. It's gonna be chaotic. It's gonna be chaotic, chaotic, chaotic. So now this situation in Bahrain is a signal to the other Arab countries over there in the Middle East, Egypt, Tunisia, Libya. Also have to learn what they're gonna do next, man. Since they're over there in the top of Africa, they're very close to NATO. You know, and they're gonna have to see what they're gonna do. Because hey, let's see how Russia is gonna operate at that level. Yeah, man. Because America is basically circling the drain. Circling the drain. The morale of the soldiers is basically in the dumpster at this moment. They've seen all the corruption. They've seen all the misrepresentation of facts. So now they know exactly what they have to deal with. Now they know that they don't want to fight in another war based on falsehoods. Based on artificial intelligence. That's something they don't want to be a part of. False, what we call false doctrine, falsification of evidence, and all that stuff. Lies, just to keep it short and simple. Yeah, man. So, yeah, Amalek, is in trouble. The so-called Israelis, they're in trouble. And now the ones that are here in the United States are also in trouble because now they've been exposed, it's only a matter of time that what happened in Venezuela has become that part of the big picture. Now they know exactly what that situation was all about. So now they know what to do. Now they're gonna put the Amalekites, these so-called Israelis, in their focus, man. They're gonna be in their crosshairs, man. So expect more chaos, man. Expect more what you call it, all these synagogues to be on fire, man. Expect them to go under attack. Protests outside your synagogues and all that stuff. That they have to call the so-called law enforcement to station out there, man. With the patrol vehicles, you're gonna have protests, man, outside all the synagogues, man. You're gonna have damage to properties and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's just what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be a mess, and that's just what happens when the Messiah starts to shake the hand, man. That the nobles will begin to shake in their boots. They're going to be nervous and upset. They're going to be running to go seek protection on all these military bases. They stay up trouble and they go hide on the military base for protection. Looking around for security details and all that stuff to protect them from the wrath of the people. Yeah, so that's the price they have to pay, man. So yeah, World War III is not going to be a winning card for these Amalekites, man. They know that they're in deep trouble. So Netanyahu gave a speech some years ago, man, that they cannot afford to fail. Yeah, but their agenda, their goals was never going to be accomplished anyway, man. So now they have to figure out how they can do it. They want to expand their borders. They want to use America as their attack dog. So when America falls, that's it for them. That's it for them. There's nothing NATO can do. So the book of Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 11 says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord had raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. All right, that's Russia. All right. For his device is against Babylon, aka America. Alright, so the Medes, alright, that's Russia, man, the land of Russia, coming against America, man, Mystery Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Hashai Ba'ashem Kakadash, the vengeance of his temple. Okay, so that's a righteous indignation of the Lord that has to be executed. Now, verse 12 says, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord had both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. So a lot of folks are going to be watching, man. America's defense system will have to go into what you call it, DEFCON 5. Yeah, so it's gonna be a crazy situation, man, on the American soil. Yep, it's gonna be a crazy situation. So let me get one more precept. It's gonna be from the book of Second Ezra's. Yeah, this is another Powerful chapter that we got to also be aware of. Okay, second Ezra chapter 16, verse 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss. When they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Yeah. So it's gonna be oof, devastating, man. When the Lord begin to shake shake the kingdom of man. Oh boy, 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 boy. The slain of the Lord shall be many. Just to keep it simple. All right, verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. So pain, 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 maximum pain is going to be afflicted upon the earth. Now, final precept, book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5. Just to keep it simple to the point, verse 20 says, well, it's what Hamashiach Yahushai got to bring upon the earth. His severe wrath shall he sharpen for a sword, and the world shall fight with him against the unwise. Then shall the right aiming thunderbolts go abroad, and from the clouds, as from a well-drawn bow, shall they fly to the mark. So the Lord also has his targets. So when you see all those animations, and those cartoonish animations about, one vengeance for all, and then you also have other spin-offs, it shows you how, the chaos of World War III, is being imagined. Okay, so you see how America has been torn apart. You see how the land of Israel is being torn apart. All right, and then verse 22 says, "And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast out of a stone bow, and hailstones full of wrath shall be cast us out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them." So lots of folks are gonna be drowning, man. That drowning is no joke. It's a horrible way to die, just like in the time of Noah. Alright, some are gonna drown in the waters, some are gonna drown in the lake of fire. Alright, and then verse 23 says, "Yea, a mighty wind shall stand up against them, and like a storm shall blow them away. Thus iniquity shall lay waste the whole earth, and ill dealing shall overthrow the thrones of the mighty." All right. So betrayers, man, betrayers. The beasts shall hate the whore. So that's just what it is, man. It's gonna be a total annihilation of America. That's just what the Lord has proposed. It's what He has declared and proclaimed. It's already sealed. It's already sealed in His books of prophecy, man. So it's gonna be chaos, man. So all these uproars in Bahrain is just a spark. It's just gonna be a spark. To get the other people mobilized against these puppet regimes over there in the Middle East. Shalom.